will be reviewing a podcast called This is Paris. Chrissie and I both listened separately. We have not discussed it with each other beforehand. Let's get into it. This is a show hosted by Paris Hilton and a guy named Hunter March. Did you know that?
No, I just call him Cuck. Like, he just is sort of her sassy little sidekick. I was just like, oh,
they never introduce him. It's like he does not matter. However, he pretty much runs the show.
Oh, absolutely. He runs the whole thing. He does her job for her. He asks the questions. And like, you can tell this guy has to know everything about Paris's life, past, future, present, relationships. And it just makes you wonder, like, why is Paris even here?
Well,
this guy does her whole job for her.
Her name is on the podcast. So I'm guessing that's why she's there. But I was trying to figure out, because they talked about, so Amy Schumer's on, and they talk about how Amy is a big fan of Paris's. In fact, let me play you this clip. This is after Amy leaves the show, after the long interview. And then they're chatting about it. This is Hunter and Paris chatting about it afterwards.
Someone that we both admire, you admire, Amy Schumer, ended up being a huge fan of you and really admired not only, The Simple Life, but everything you're doing with your advocacy.
That made me so happy to hear, because I've always loved her. And just to hear someone speak like that about me, it made me feel just so proud and excited and just feel so good all over. Like, I was like, wow.
Who is a fan of Paris Hilton? What does she do? I know that The Simple Life was on 20 years ago.
What? It's just like you could just throw the title around. Like, oh, I'm an activist. I do advocacy. She has no specifics for anything she does.
She has the charisma of a staph infection. This woman lacks any type of charisma or wit. I don't understand. She's not a show host like we talked about. She needs Hunter there to ask questions. I don't know how anyone is a Paris Hilton fan. If somebody is a fan, can you please reach out to me and tell me what the fuck you like about this woman?
Who's listening to this fucking podcast? Because it's like, Paris Hilton is now 40. Yeah. If you were watching The Simple Life, you're probably at the youngest, like 35. This is probably 35 to 45-year-olds.
But let's not pretend that The Simple Life was some runaway hit on television. That wasn't a big show. They're acting like that was the biggest fucking show. There's so many fans from it. It's like, no, it was two spoiled cunts on a farm.
It's crazy. It's if all the callers and guests are given like a index card full of talking points.
Yes.
Because so many folks are bringing up, oh, I love The Simple Life. Like they have to. Like there's a gun pointed at their head. Like, oh, I love The Simple Life. Don't hurt me. And it's like this show was kind of a joke. And if you listen to a few episodes of this show, there's so many interesting it's like a mystery, because I think they're really trying to hammer the point home that they really want people to think, oh, The Simple Life, it was all an act. I was just acting stupid. This was a comedy. This was and Amy Schumer's like, it was so funny. I just love the way you knew what was funny. And I'm like, I don't think anybody believes anything that they're saying.
All right. So I got a couple of examples of that. This is talking about how her being on The Simple Life was empowering to women.
You said that her on Simple Life was empowering from a feminist perspective, or you said it was feministic. I agree now, knowing that Paris was doing basically a performance the entire time with Nicole and captivating the entire world. Did you know that at the time, or were you like the public just being like, I can't tell?
So I don't think anyone would describe reality television as empowering, and especially not The Simple Life. But after they explained that Paris Hilton was putting on an act, she's not really that dumb. She was pretending to be dumb for the TV show. You have a clip on here that I want to play. And this is Amy Schumer, who's a big fan of that show.
Did you guys all hear that I had a clip?
Oh, you have many clips on here. You have many clips. Your fucking victory laps are coming early and often here, Chrissie. I'm not at a baseball game. I brought a clip. So this is Amy talking about how she loves people who are honest. That's what she's attracted to.
No, I loved it. And I loved that. And I still love that, unapologetic, just self-actualize. People, there's this podcast that I love called Poog. It's a Goop backwards with Jacqueline Novak and Kate Berlant. And it really is just people not apologizing for who they are and just sharing their genuine thoughts and feelings. And there's just something so refreshing about that, because especially right now where people are really checking themselves, and as we should be, you know, it's just fun to see people like, you know, fully living in their own skin and being like, this is me and this is who I am and where I come from. And I'm going to share this, like, you know, insight into my life, but I'm not going to apologize for it. Is just so appealing to me.
Well, that's retarded. They're contradicting themselves.
She's so contradicting. So Amy is talking about in this clip how much she loves people who are refreshing and honest, and you're like, okay, but it literally in the breath before that, literally what I guess it's called clip 7 in the little segment right before she said that, Amy is totally kissing Paris's ass, like licking her asshole,
yes.
like kissing her ass so hard, which everybody on this show does, whoever, whether you're a guest or you're calling in.
Yep.
And then Amy actually says that anyone who's upset about cancel culture has problematic behavior. And then literally the next thing she says is how much she loves people who are honest and unapologetic. So it's like, I think Amy is truly confused.
Yes.
About either what she feels or what is, quote, right to say.
Right. I think that's the point, is that they're all trying to play by these rules that keep changing and they're not sure what to say or how to say it. There's a few times she contradicts herself. Let me play your track 7 that you were just alluding to.
And so I don't want to say a joke that's going to hurt someone's feelings anymore. And in terms of, you know, making people, anybody who's upset about cancel culture, I think has problematic behavior. Mm-hmm. I think the way that people are being asked to answer for themselves, if you're evolving and you're educating yourself, then I think it's okay. And hopefully you won't be canceled or whatever if you are actually putting in genuine, authentic efforts to educate yourself and move with the culture in the way that, thank God, it's going.
Listen how measured every single word is, too, as she's making zero sense.
So careful. She's just like, she wants you to know more than anything else that she's super woke and she's not here to, And anytime someone says problematic behavior, you have to just like, ugh. Like, you're no longer a comedian. Like, you're too successful to be a comedian. You're too rich. Do something else. I don't know.
No, she literally said cancel culture's fine because everyone who gets canceled deserves it.
Yeah.
That's what she just literally fucking said. It's like, dummy, they're going to come for you next. You don't realize that? That's how this works.
Right. She's definitely somebody who, if you look back, like, I don't know, 10, 15 years when she was first starting out, I'm sure she said a lot of funny stuff, and funny equals problematic. So I'm sure people could get her for something.
Yes. All right. So here's an anecdote that she tells on the Paris Hilton show. And then I'm going to explain to you why I pulled this one out.
And my son puked on me last night. Like, it was just one of those, like, you know, like if you've ever had a baby, had the pleasure of having a baby throw up on you, it's like so much, like you can't believe it's coming out of them. And it was like I was just slimed. Like I had to change, like my underwear was soaking wet. Like everything was, and it was like, you know, and I almost threw up. It's just, vomiting is funny, you know.
That's hot.
So this is an anecdote that she brings on a show with her. I used to listen to Amy Schumer on the Opie and Anthony show. She would talk about letting a cab driver finger her while driving her home. That's the Amy Schumer I want to listen to. That's an exciting story. Getting puked on by your toddler, not so much.
Yeah, her toddler's not going to finger her. Probably ever. It's just a little more boring.
The toddler only fingered her once. Happy birthday.
We were taking a bath. Never again.
So I love that these two, they're both about the same age, Paris and Amy Schumer. They get together on this show, and Hunter asks if they've ever worked together before.
Thank you so much for doing this, by the way.
Thanks for thinking of me. I'm excited.
Me too.
Have you guys worked together before?
No.
Just communicated, just sent love to each other.
You guys are both very lovely people, so that would make perfect sense.
Yes, we're pen pals on
living
DM.
Angels.
Definitely.
What would they have done together? So you have Amy Schumer, who's a stand-up, and then she got a TV show, and then she's been in movies. Paris fucked her boyfriend on the internet. What would they have done together? I don't understand what kind of work.
Yeah. Where's the crossover?
Where's the crossover in this?
whole episode truly sounds like you have Paris Hilton and this Hunter guy. To me, it sounds like, that Paris is the coolest girl in school, coolest girl in high school, plus her sassy gay friend. This whole episode sounds like the two of them are just volunteering to sit with Amy at lunch.
Right.
And, like the loser girl in high school, which is not true. Like, I went to the same high school as Amy Schumer. She was very cool. She made fun of my sister who was in the same grade as her. She played volleyball. She was cool. But in this podcast, it makes it sound like Amy's like the loser girl and Paris and Hunter are like that are just, like a Make-A-Wish podcast episode.
Yeah, right. Well, let you be cool for a day.
Yes. And then Amy is very like, she like makes fun of herself and she's like, well, like no one's trying to get into my circle of friends and everyone's trying to be your friend, Paris. Like, I don't know.
Both of these women are so unlikable in every single way. When they were talking about being standoffish and not really bringing in new friends into their circle, I'm like, who the fuck wants to be friends with you? You're a vapid cunt. What are you talking about?
And at this point, it's like, you've won, Amy. Like, you're a winner. Like, you're rich, you're successful, you married an autistic guy. Like, you've done it. You have a son now.
You're on a show with a woman who once fucked her boyfriend on the internet. By the way, I want to point this out because I've been I was on Drew and Mike talking about Paris Hilton because it was kind of teasing this. So I went back and watched that sex tape again. She wasn't even that into it. Like, I've been with girls like Paris that they're just kind of like, I guess if the cock's right there, I'll touch it. It's like, hey, not for nothing. I came in a sock yesterday, okay? Get over yourself.
So she wasn't enthusiastic. She wasn't like spitting all over the dick.
No, she wasn't doing any of the fun things.
Oh, God. The fact that you could get so famous off of a mediocre sex tape makes me wish that I had done one.
Well, you also have to start off being a billionaire. I think that's part of it too.
Oh my God. That's what I was thinking too. This whole podcast, when she gives business advice, like Paris is so out of touch. She doesn't know the degree to which she has been given a leg up in every facet of her life. Like, she's been giving such a huge running start on everything. Like, she'll go off like, I have 17 businesses, and you'll hear her say that like on other appearances with people. She just doesn't know, like, she's a Hilton. Like, she's never truly had to start from scratch on anything ever. So she doesn't know how to give business advice.
When your last name is Microtel, you have a lot of fucking money. Don't you have a clip about her business advice on here?
Oh, yes, I do. I think it's clip number 1, advice for women in business. This is with a caller.
Yeah. So my question for Paris as a businesswoman is, do you have advice for women that are in male-dominated industries, like how to live and how to be successful?
Yes. Thank you for asking. I love that you're a sliver like me.
Thanks.
My advice is that it's not.
I looked it up. Do you know what sliving is?
I don't know. What is?
Because at the end of the interview with What's Her Nuts, she says, "All right, now we're going to go into our 7 sliving questions." So I'm like, what the fuck? It's a combination of slaying it and living your best life. Sliving.
Okay. Me, sliv sounds like slang for your vaginal area.
Yes. I mean, when I yell, show me your sliv.
I gotta go clean my sliv, guys.
Please do.
Man's world.
Something stuck in there.
People have been made to believe that for so long, and we are all equal, and women can do it better. Sorry, Hunter.
It started off being equal and then very quickly became...
I'm like, girl empowerment.
I agree. Women do it better.
But yeah, I think the important part, like, for just to live and kill it, is just to be yourself, be confident, and never let a man try to control you or tell you what to do, and just work your hardest and just be confident in your ideas and know them, and don't let anyone ever make you feel like just because you're a woman that you can't do this, because that's not true at all. And I feel that that's the way I live my life, and I've proven, and you can do it too.
Thank you.
That is the worst business advice I've ever heard in my life.
She's literally the opposite of Gary Vee. Like the complete, like you want to keep women from succeeding and keep women out of business, is listen to Paris Hilton's business advice. She
literally acts like she started from the ground up and built herself.
He has no clue. And it's like, wait, it makes me so angry.
She put together a documentary about how she was sent to a boarding school and they were mean to her at the boarding school.
Did she get molested there? I know I don't think I watched that documentary, but I heard there was some scandal there. Maybe
I didn't either, but she's patting herself on the back now for changing the world. She literally says she's changing the fucking world because she complained about the boarding school. Hey, I got news for you, Paris. Boarding schools aren't supposed to be pleasant. That's why your parents sent you there.
Supposed to build discipline, character, strike fear into the youth.
Speaking of abuse, and I believe that Amy Schumer has been abused or else she wouldn't have uglied herself up so much. I mean, she is just atrocious to look at these days. But listen to this example of abuse that she suffered in relationships.
Like, I remember one time we were like at a gas station, this guy, and I got out of the car and I like kind of picked my wedgie. And he was like, that's so gross when you do that. Like, that makes me sick.
Did you hear Hunter? He's like, oh, you poor thing. He didn't like you picking your wedgie in public?
It's like, oh my God, this Make-A-Wish. It's so sad.
I know. It's so terrible for you. I can't believe it. Then she gives another example.
One time I was in the shower and he just opened the shower curtain and he just laughed at me. Just like started laughing at me.
You're a comedian. That's a win.
Do make fun of your own body. But of course, nobody wants their boyfriend to make fun of their body for them.
Well, I will tell you though, Chrissie, the story changes very quickly as she remembers what actually happened there because it sounds silly that the boyfriend would open up the shower curtain and just start laughing at you. How are you going to get your dick sucked if you're laughing at your girlfriend when they're naked?
Right.
So then she goes on to explain what really happened right after that.
And I think he peed on me. He peed on me in the shower while he was laughing at me. So...
Wait, he peed into the shower while he was standing outside the shower?
That's terrific.
Yes, that's why he was laughing, because he was pissing on her. That's hilarious. We can all agree on that.
It wasn't about her body. He just was peeing into the shower.
Yes. Which is great. Which we all can agree is hilarious.
It is hilarious.
I don't understand how anyway. So they're talking about how sensitive they all are now and talking about crossing the line. Paris somehow has become the poster person for comedy that's gone too far. Her and Britney Spears are being brought up all over the place now because Sarah Silverman had to go and fucking apologize like a moron. And so now it's like, this comedy stuff, it's just going too far when you make fun of billionaires who are in the spotlight.
People are generally not talking about them at all anymore. I would say they're forcing the issues so that their name can be talked about again.
And not for nothing, the jokes that Sarah Silverman made were about Paris having to go to jail because she violated probation after getting a DUI. That's the part that everybody's leaving out of this, is that she's a criminal anyway. So they're asking Amy about crossing the line with comedy. And again, the answer is so slow and deliberate, and it's just she has to find the exact right words.
I think it's really important that, and kind of amazing to be hearing the story from the person's perspective, from Britney's perspective, from Paris's perspective, because you're like, there's one way you can think of someone. And you can make them a fast punchline, but then to be like, hey, if you're interested and take the time, you can see how hard these women work. Mm-hmm. And that they're not there by accident. Like, they have created their own, potential, like they've created their own careers and changed the world. Really changed the world. And
are you fucking kidding me? I don't want to make Paris Hilton a punchline because she's made her own career and changed the world. You can't possibly believe that to be true. That's
it's not
so
your
stupid.
job. She's so conflicting. She's conflicting herself here. It's like, once you're making jokes about somebody, it's not your job to worry about their feelings and worry about how they're taking it. And it's like, they're doing shit worthy of comedy. What they're doing is worthy of jokes, getting a DUI, whatever. Even people make fun of Gandhi. People, I'm sure, have jokes about Jesus, people who've generally done great things for their whole life. So it's just, she sounds, the longer you listen to Schumer, the more you're like, this does not sound like a comedian anymore. She sounds like a spokesperson. She sounds like, I don't know, a wokesperson, a mouthpiece. It's just like, it just sounds like she's not having funny thoughts anymore. She's too careful.
Yes.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything funny on this show. All they talked about was how things that have been said that were funny aren't funny. They were just correcting. By the way, just in case you laughed at that joke 10 years ago, you're an asshole now. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is the same clip that I pointed out for clip 10, but it's basically Amy is admitting to censoring herself in her comedy. She doesn't do self-deprecating jokes anymore, even though she says she enjoys them. But then she's like, oh, but on the other hand, others might find them harmful.
Yeah, this is a longer clip, but this is perfect because she contradicts herself multiple times within this clip.
Yeah, like, so any jokes, like especially self-deprecating jokes, which I still enjoy making, but even those I started to find could be harmful to people because they're like, if she's making jokes that she's fat, then what am I, and so I try not to do that anymore with that thought in mind. But sometimes it's just too fun. It's like I'm about to start shooting a TV show and I'm turning 40 this year, and like, so so I have like basically a Mitch McConnell, like double chin. Like so on camera, so on set, I'll make jokes about it, but
that double chin is her best physical attribute.
Just because it makes me, I don't know, it makes me feel better. To be like, okay, and can somebody come light my other chin? Yeah, some of those I'll have to keep those with me.
All right, I just want to point out the obvious here, and that is, if you don't take offense to things that are said about you, life becomes much easier.
Exactly.
That's all it is. Someone made a joke about Paris Hilton wanting to suck dick while she was in prison. Get over it. Who gives a shit?
And if you're as big or bigger than Amy Schumer, guess what? You're fat. You're also fat. Like, it's,
yeah, I know. That would be a good rational thought to have. Like, Amy thinks she's fat. I'm bigger than her. Then lose some fucking weight.
What will people think if I call myself fat? What if there's a 400-pound woman listening? What about her?
Yeah, right? We got to worry about this 400-pound fatty. And then...
Exactly. She's selling mayonnaise. Like, come on.
And then, of course, it's International Women's Day, so they have to point that out.
I hate this so much. We don't deserve it anymore. We're not an oppressed group. Sorry. Like, give it back. I said this on Twitter. We should give International Women's Day like to straight white men because it's like we're good.
I'm so glad Chrissie's on the show this week as we're bashing these retards. It's providing a little bit of validity. If it was just me and Chris talking about what assholes they were, it might come off as sexist. Anyway, here's the clip.
It's also International Women's Day, Paris.
It is.
What does that mean to you?
It's a day to celebrate women because women rule the world.
All right, I have news for you. When there's a day for you, it means you don't rule the world. It means the opposite of that. Because there's no such thing as like Illuminati Day or Lizard Person Day or Jewish Banker Day.
Yeah, there's no Fauci Day.
Right. The fact that there's a day for you means just the opposite of ruling the world. In fact, you should be embarrassed by it as Chrissie is. So Amy, and I didn't know this, she did some TV show called Expecting Amy, reality show, while she was pregnant, and she had a very rough pregnncy.
Yeah, I think they had to make it in like a lab first and then stick it in her. I don't know. She was doing like intravenous, IVF something.
Yes, correct. Yeah. And it didn't go well.
Didn't take or something.
Paris is talking about watching the show.
So I've been watching Expecting Amy, and I have fallen even more in love with you.
Oh my God. I hope you aren't like puking watching it.
No, I love just how funny you are, how brave you are, just everything. It's really amazing that you let people in like that.
Thank you.
All right. So the love fest continues.
Whew. Listening to Amy, and I have low self-esteem, but listening to Amy Schumer talk really make me want to work on that. It's wild. She inspires me to not sound like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean.
She's doing fucking great. She should not be this down on herself still.
Well, it's an act, right? Isn't that part of her shtick now?
Yeah.
What was me and everything sucks, and she used to be the opposite of that. Chins.
If she wanted to get rid of her chins, she could.
So I typically go above and beyond for this show. It's been pretty well documented that I will do the research. I did not watch Expecting Amy. If you want to pull your Patreon money, so be it. I'm not watching that fucking show. There's nothing that would get me to watch that. And then this is fun. Amy's talking about watching Paris Hilton's sex tape.
So much. I was vomiting so much.
Which I thought that was a little bit rude. And then Hunter, not to be outdone, starts talking about watching Amy stand up.
I did make the mistake of trying to watch it while eating breakfast, and it was rough.
All right, that might be out of context. That might be out of context.
It's fun.
So anyway, Amy has she had hyperemesis, which means you vomit all the time when you're pregnant, and she talks about that here.
Sometimes that communication is hard, and it's like, you know, really what I needed during my pregnancy was truly a home attendant. And that's why a lot of women who get hyperemesis, I think 50% of the marriages fail because of how sick you are, how needy you are, and you just aren't available, you know, to, and because of my privilege, I could, you know, I'm an assistant, I had people helping, but really it was just me and him. And
because of your success, not because of your privilege. What is that? What is she talking about? Also,
right. It's like you got successful and you could afford to stop taking risks in comedy, which made you less funny.
That's why you strive for success. It's not privilege. Anyway, now her uncle, that might be privilege. So now she pointed out 50% of marriages do not make it through this hyperemesis. 50% of marriages don't work anyway. That's just the number. Yeah. So that's not that impressive to me.
I think all this throwing up would make her thin.
Right. That's a really good point. How is she still so fat?
God basically served her up bulimia. Nothing. Body was like, no, we're staying this way.
Amy takes credit for being so brave. Now, as you know, with what's going on with our wonderful governor in this state, there's a lot of women who, if they get hit on, they now want to get you canceled. You know, if you try to hit on a girl, and Amy is no exception.
You know, the key is to, I think, once you realize it happened and you're ready to talk about it, to speak out, to prevent it from happening for other people. Like, I think about that now, like any situation, even if I'm in like a doctor's office and he makes me uncomfortable or something, I'll call out the behavior, thinking about the next woman who comes in here. I have a responsibility to her, you know?
Oh, what a hero.
Are you kidding? If you're seeing like a male gynecologist, you're kind of asking for it. Like, I've never had a male regular doctor or a male regular gyno. Like that, the thought of it creeps me out so much.
Yeah, there's got to be a reason why they get into that.
It's always these older women that still see male doctors, and I'm like, ugh, why?
But isn't that bizarre? And Amy's not an attractive person, so she's pretending that she's getting hit on by doctors, and she has to call it out to save the next woman who's going to come in. You're not saving anyone. I promise you that.
It's wild. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm weird, but I think most women do kind of want to get hit on in the right place, in the right time. Like, if I would never in comedy was ever getting hit on by anybody in charge of anything or that I worked with, like, I would start feeling bad about myself.
It's funny you say that. My wife said the same thing to me. She worked in restaurants for many years. She's like, I would get hit on and groped. And if I was the only chick there not getting that done to me, I would have been pissed. It's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, when the whole stuff came out about Kevin Spacey, they were like, oh, it turned out that it was like 20 people from this New Vic theater in the UK or something that he had like either molested or something like that, been inappropriate with. I'd be like, damn, with 20 people, you know, you got to feel bad for the people who weren't molested.
I'm not even gay, but I would have sucked him off for the story. Jeez, you didn't even ask me.
Yeah, you're like, why not me? I think we should start talking about how like utterly vain Paris is. And in my clip too, she's talking about what TV shows everybody's watching. I don't know why both Paris and Amy brought this up. Like, oh, what TV are you watching? Yeah. Like, I never bring that up with anybody I'm on a podcast with or that I'm friends with. Maybe because I don't know. I watch some TV, but it's like, I never think to talk about that with friends. It's just like just such a lukewarm topic. I don't know. I just think it's boring to talk about what TV you're watching.
It is boring. So let's bore up our show by listening to them talk about this boring
Clip
topic.
2.
During this year, I've literally never watched so much TV in my life. Like, how about you?
I've done a good amount of TV watching. What are you binging right now? What is your go-to?
I love Schitt's Creek, The Simple Life, Westworld.
Wait,
her
The
own
Simple
show.
Life? Are you just going to put that in the middle and then not gonna
Like that he calls
elaborate?
her
I
out.
love it.
How do you want? What episode is your favorite of The Simple Life?
There's so many, but it's just so much fun to watch with my boyfriend because he's not like the reality type. He's like a businessman and like intellectual and has never watched like reality television in his life. So to watch The Simple Life with him is just so entertaining, just to like relive it and just see him laughing and just, I don't know, it's just fun to like watch someone else watching me back then.
This show was from 2003 to 2007.
Wow.
Okay, it's 2021 now. I cannot believe she's still watching her own show.
And admitting it and making her boyfriend watch it too. And I want to point out, I didn't catch this the first time I heard that clip, but she called her boyfriend an intellectual. He's dating Paris Hilton. There's no fucking way he's an intellectual.
At least Amy Schumer is honest about her husband. She's like, yeah, he's on the spectrum. And we're like, thank you. You have to be to be with you. Like this shows this. Okay, this. I mean, it's funny on its own because she's watching this old ass show with her boyfriend. You're like, okay, obviously she's vain as fuck. But then it goes into clip 3. This is not even that many minutes after. It's really funny because basically they talk about what are red flags with a guy when you're dating guys.
I have a good rule
point.
that Paris actually said earlier. If the guy wants to watch himself on television or in a movie or listen to his own music with you, you might be dating the wrong guy.
Yes.
And then she agrees.
I don't even think she's making the connection that literally a few minutes ago she admitted to watching her own old ass show with her current boyfriend.
All right, so I got a question, Chrissy. In 7 years from now, is she going to come out and be like, I was just pretending to be dumb on my podcast? That was just an act.
Oh my God.
I'm not really that stupid.
Like, oh, you got us again, Paris. We fell for it. Man, you're good.
Here I thought you were just a dumb idiot. Oh my God, you're the best actress to ever live. I had no idea.
Can you? It's got to be hard to be like a celebrity because she's not going to just date like a regular guy that, you know what I mean, that drives a truck. It's
Or runs a comedy club or something like that.
The percentage of dudes that Paris can actually date and end up with. I'm pretty sure this guy she's with now is like some kind of an arranged marriage because I think she was like, oh, I knew him way back when and we got reintroduced. Because
they're
the
engaged.
caste system.
They're engaged. So I had to look this guy up and be like, who the fuck would marry Paris Hilton? So this guy's an entrepreneur. He's made a lot of money in his life, and he's obviously a dork. He's never been with a hot chick. This is all new to him. So he's just so excited to be with a skinny blonde girl that he's like, fuck, I better marry this one because there ain't any more coming after this.
Wow. Yeah, he's like, I'm not going to do any better.
And I think that's why they watch The Simple Life, because that's when Paris was attractive. She has not aged well, I want to point out. She does not look good.
It's like showing somebody, yeah, these are all my photos from high school when I was the hottest. That was what she was doing. This is when I was peak
It's like
me.
if I made my wife listen to the music special that I put out back in December. I would never do that.
God. Yuck. It's so vain. It's so gross. Did you find the episodes to be strange? Because some of them would be 7 minutes long. Some would be 10 minutes long.
Yeah,
She had a lot of what she called trailers for the podcast, which I've never done.
I listened to one where she just pops on and she's like, oh, I just had to come on and talk about Sarah Silverman.
Yeah, like she's bothered. Like she doesn't want to be there. And I don't think she wants to be there. I really don't believe that Paris Hilton wanted to do this podcast. I think her handlers, her publicists were like, you have to do this.
There's zero enthusiasm for any of this shit. You can tell she's bored out of her mind, and I am too.
so bored. There was like, and it's probably not worth pulling up, but I remember there was like almost 4 minutes while Amy was talking where like Paris didn't even give like like in a like no words, no like wow, no like oh my god, like she said nothing for almost 4 minutes, and you can hear Amy be like, "Are you there? Did you fall asleep?"
It wasn't a natural conversation. Paris is not a conversationalist. I wouldn't call her that. I've heard her on other shows. She's not good at this.
No, I don't know if you want to bring up. It becomes so obvious that this whole podcast is a thinly veiled commercial for her, her line of stuff, her tracksuits. I guess she has, among her 17 businesses, she has some clothes like at Macy's or whatever. But in clip 4, so funny because a lot of us in 2020, we kind of like let ourselves go. Maybe we wore sweatpants. Like that's, I think there's a lot of people who would call in and say something like that. And so this woman calls in like, I just spent the whole year in sweatpants. What do I buy? Like, I need fashion tips. Paris, what do I do?
All right.
I have spent all of 2020 literally living in sweatpants, and I'm so sick of it. Paris, what are going to be the new style trends of 2021? What do I need to start buying? And are low-rise jeans really going to make a comeback?
All right, Hannah. Well, I can relate to you because I have been in sweats the entire year as well, but I love them. I'm in it right now, actually, my velour Juicy Couture tracksuit, and I just love it. It's so comfortable. It's so cute. And I think there's a way to do it. Like most sweatpants, like other types that are not juicy are just ugly and boring and lame. So if I were you, I would definitely get some juicy because they're fashionable, they're fun, and it's just like hot loungewear.
I've never heard a commercial where they just called out all the other products. Oh, you want to buy a fucking Mac? What are you, an idiot? Windows. Am I right, people?
Anybody listening to this, if you don't know what Google juicy tracksuit right now, it's literally sweatpants and a sweatshirt.
Right.
The woman is saying, I'm so sick of sweatpants. What do I do, Paris? And Paris is like, buy my sweatpants.
Right. Buy my overpriced sweatpants. That'll make you feel attractive.
That were popular in the early aughts. And if you walk outside your house wearing them with juicy across your butt, you will date yourself.
There was a commercial in here too for Macy's.
Yeah. Is that clip 5?
All right, let's hear this.
Spring is only a few weeks away. That means spring cleaning and creating the space you want at home. And it's the perfect time to freshen up your fashion. And there's so much more than just fulfilling your fashion needs. Macy's can take care of your beauty routine too. Macy's has it all. We all love when the weather starts to get warmer. Macy's has the essentials to gear up for sunny days and all that outside time. Macy's has everything you need. And it's the top gift destination. Get my favorite iconic Juicy Couture tracksuits, the perfect tanks and tees for sunny weather, denim jackets, and of course, my Paris Hilton's floral fragrances. That's hot. Plus, get the gadgets you want for the kitchen for all your springtime cooking. Loves it. Get your online orders faster and easier. You can pick up orders in store or choose contact-free curbside. Shop my top Macy's picks at Macys.com/Paris.
I think she's writing her own ad copy. That's the worst ad copy I've ever heard.
It's iconic. Did you know it's iconic?
It's
Carl?
iconic. I love that they try to tie in springtime with buying sweatpants, but also get some perfume, but also buy a gift for somebody. It's like, fucking A, focus. What do you want people to do here? Everything. Huh? All right. Let me get on that.
Make giving up look hot with my tracksuits at Macy's.
Are you as fat as I am stupid? Then I am just the product for you. Speaking of things that made me sick.
It's so bad. It's so bad. It's such a big commercial.
This is something that made me sick that Amy Schumer was talking about. I know we're talking about Paris right now. I'm switching gears a little bit.
I swam naked in my friend's pool 2 nights ago.
I did not need to know that.
Well, she had asked her, what's the craziest thing you've done recently? And it took her a long time to come up with this.
Right. 2 days ago. Like, you couldn't think of that. And then she also asks, because it's the 7 sliving questions. She also asks her, what is on her bucket list? And I don't think Amy understands what a bucket list is.
Okay, number 1 on the bucket list is I really do want to do everything I can to move the culture forward for women, and also educating myself and helping educate other people about the struggle of for Black and marginalized people.
That's not something that you can accomplish. I want to do everything that I can do to help minorities. Great. But what do you want to do? What's something you want to do? Do you want to go to Argentina? Like, you got like a bucket list thing. It's like a thing that you could do. You'll know when you've done it.
And that also implies that she hasn't even started.
And Fudgesicle in the chat said KFC bucket list. Exactly.
The virtue signaling is out of control.
For that, they ask Amy what her 3 wishes are. Her first wish is to fly,
yes.
like flying. And then the second wish is, again, with this like BLM shit. Like, I wish everyone could know about the history of racism in this country.
I have that clip. Hold on. I have this is unbelievable. I think it's number 11 here.
I want to be able to fly. I'd like to be able to fly. And I would love to be able to snap my fingers and have everybody be educated about this country's history of racism and the destruction.
This country has a history of racism? Chrissie, did you know that?
I mean, not like China's like country, like China.
No,
other
this country.
countries. We're the only country who ever
I
has
love
ever
that
had
there's
racism.
people acting like people don't know about this. That's all we talk about all the fucking time, Amy. We know. We get it. Christ.
It's because we talk about it so much that it's a thing.
Right. It's not helping. Things are getting worse.
Yeah. And then the third wish is, for my kid to be happy, which is like, that's a real wish.
That's a real wish.
And flying. I believe flying from her.
So stupid.
Yeah, I think she did drop a lot of names, but I don't know if that's just her world now. Like
right.
She mentioned Natalie Portman and Chelsea Handler and like a couple other people, but which I was like, oh, look at her. But then I'm like, you know what? These are her friends. This is her life.
Yeah,
with these people.
It is weird how she dropped Natalie Portman's name because it didn't need to be in the story. She's like, when you're a mom, you just work on your instincts. Natalie Portman told me that. Like, a lot of people said that.
It just didn't make sense to mention her at that point.
It didn't really make sense. Like, let's not bring Star Wars into this, all right? It has nothing to do with your fucking family.
You know the lady who played Black Swan? She told me to hang in there.
How is that? She talked about having a TV show. Who's going to watch an Amy Schumer TV show? Who's a fan of Amy Schumer anymore? I guess the Hollywood has not gotten the memo.
Just like the people who were popular in the early aughts club.
Yes.
Yes.
Listen to how proud of herself Paris is. And this is referring to what she's done to shut down this scary boarding school she was in.
I just know the little girl in me would be so proud of the woman that I am today.
Even that sniff at the end. Adam Carolla jokes about this. These people are so smug with themselves. They'll say something like, fucking nailed it. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Paris, that's something
like,
keep to yourself.
I nailed the dismount. That's a clip.
Keep that
That's
type of
clip
shit
it,
to
guys.
yourself.
Yeah. We get into how Paris completely has no concept of comedy because Amy's clearly trying to set up a joke and she just steps on the punchline and ruins it. I think that's clip 6.
Yes.
I was trying to think. I was like, did I ever write a joke about Paris? I know I had one joke, and it wasn't about Paris, but I think it was something like, well, first of all, I loved A Simple Life. I don't know if I ever told you that, but I just thought you guys were so funny, and I just loved. I felt like it was such a feminist, funny show, and then so I had this dog. I'm like, I said something. It was like something with Paris Hilton and her dog, the Chihuahua. What's its name? Nicole
Tinkerbell.
Richie.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, but that was the joke. Like, that was the joke.
What was her name as part of the joke, you idiot?
She was about to do a slam dunk in slow motion, and Paris was like, what? Had to ruin it.
She just pretended to be stupid still, though. That's why she ruined that joke. So that's all
the fact that acting dumb can be considered feminist.
That's the crazy thing. She goes, it was such a great show. It was such a great show for feminism. Like, what show were you watching? How does that even make sense?
Ugh. Oh, it was a great show for privilege.
Does anyone like Nicole Richie? Or does everyone think that she sucks?
I like her just because I haven't heard from her since A Simple Life.
She went away. That's a good point. Thank you, Nicole.
That earns points in my book.
That's a good point.
God bless. Yeah.
Oh boy. All right, what else you want to play on here?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that a main thing that you notice when you listen to Paris Hilton's podcast, it's weird because you know when you think of Paris Hilton, you think of like, oh my god, hi guys, and it's very vocal fry. She sounds like this slutty baby grown woman thing, but then there's moments where you're listening and you're like, who is even talking? But then you realize that is actually Paris's real voice, and so she'll go between this real voice and this slutty baby voice.
I'm glad you're pointing this out because at the beginning of this clip, I couldn't believe it was Paris. I've never heard her talk like this before.
Yes. You're like, who is this?
Yeah, this is bizarre. Okay.
I was relating so much what Amy was just saying, how they would try to make me feel bad about myself, where I would feel like I needed them. And I don't know, just trying to make me feel insecure. And then just worse things, obviously, as well, like being verbally abusive, physically abusive, emotionally, just cheating, just trying just to do mean things all the time with a lot of people. So I've been through it.
Wow.
Sounds like a completely different person. I've been through it. Sounds like a completely different person.
She should do VO work. She's fucking the woman of many voices all in one sentence.
Do a cartoon.
I got one more clip. There was something that you pointed out in your note to me. I don't remember what it is, but we play it here.
I made a joke because Natalie Portman told me that. She's like, you'll have more instincts than you think.
Yeah, that's the name drop thing. All right, we covered that. Very good, very good. Anything else that you want to say to close up the torture I put you through by listening to This Is Paris?
It's really just it's an opportunity for her to name drop, to plug Macy's, to plug her tracksuits. She's not into it. She could not be less into doing this podcast.
I got the same impression.
Who are these podcasts?